I never thought I'd be the kind of guy who wakes up one morning to find his entire world turned upside down, all because of the person he trusted most. But here I am. My name is Kieran Hale. I'm 32 years old, a software engineer, and the founder of a small but promising tech startup in a city that never sleeps. For years, I poured every ounce of my energy into building my company. Sleepless nights, endless lines of code, meetings that stretched until dawn, all for one goal: a secure future for me and the woman I love, Talia. We met 5 years ago at a conference. She was dazzling, confident, and had that magnetic charm that made everyone want to be around her. As a fashion influencer, she lived a life many envied: glamorous events, thousands of social media followers, and a style that seemed effortless. I thought I was the luckiest guy alive. Talia and I weren't just husband and wife. We were supposed to be partners, partners in life, in business, and in building something that would last. Our joint bank account was more than just numbers on a screen. It was our safety net, the foundation of our future. I worked hard, sometimes sacrificing weekends and holidays so we could have that financial freedom. But behind the smiles and the social media posts, things were quietly falling apart. I didn't see the warning signs, the late night texts she hid, the mysterious charges on our credit cards, the times she seemed distant but said nothing. I chose to believe in us, in her. That illusion shattered one quiet Tuesday morning. I was sipping my usual black coffee, scrolling through emails, when I decided to check our joint bank account. Why sauce stopped me cold? Zero. Not a single dollar left. Every penny vanished. My heart dropped. I stared at the screen, disbelief flooding through me. How could this happen? How could she drain our savings without a word? I tried calling her. No answer. Text ignored. The woman who promised to build a life with me had disappeared, leaving behind an empty account and a mountain of questions. What made it worse was knowing this wasn't just a careless mistake. It was deliberate, calculated. She planned this, and I was about to learn just how deep the betrayal ran. I sat there stunned, the silence of my apartment deafening. The city outside buzzed with life, indifferent to the personal storm raging inside me. I realized that this was no longer just about money. It was about respect, trust, and the shattering of everything I thought we had. But even in that moment of despair, a small fire ignited inside me. Because while she thought she'd won, taken everything, she had no idea I was already plotting my comeback. I wasn't going to let her walk away with the last laugh. This was just the beginning. The morning after I discovered the empty account, I barely slept. My mind raced nonstop. Was this really happening? How could Talia, the woman I loved and trusted with everything, betray me like this? The shock was still fresh, but deep down, I knew I couldn't let myself drown in despair. Not yet. Not when so much was at stake. I spent the day trying to piece together what had happened. I logged into every account, checked every transaction. The money was gone, siphoned off with surgical precision. It wasn't some random spending spree or accidental withdrawal. No, this was cold, calculated sabotage. And that's when the call started. First, from creditors' charges I didn't recognize, all linked to her extravagant lifestyle. Designer shopping sprees, luxury hotel stays, and even a suspicious payment to some unknown consulting firm. It was clear she had been siphoning funds for months, living a secret life on my dime. Then came the texts and emails from friends and colleagues who were shocked by what I didn't know. Some warned me she'd been seeing someone else. Others hinted at shady deals and hidden debts. The truth was unraveling fast, but the biggest blow came when I finally got a message from her. Cold, brief, and brutal. "I'm done, Kieran. Don't try to contact me. The account is empty, just like our marriage." That message was the final dagger. But instead of breaking me, it lit a fire. I realized I had two choices: crumble under the weight of betrayal or rise and fight back smarter than ever. Revenge wasn't just about payback. It was about reclaiming my life and proving to myself that I wasn't a victim. The first step? Get my legal team involved. I reached out to a trusted lawyer, Maya Carter, a fierce advocate with a reputation for winning impossible cases. She listened carefully, her eyes narrowing with determination. "This isn't just theft," she said. "It's fraud, and you're going to get every penny back. But it's going to take time, patience, and a plan." Meanwhile, I started gathering evidence, bank statements, messages, receipts. I knew that to win, I had to be meticulous. No emotion, just facts. But the most painful part, realizing that Talia wasn't just an ex-wife. She had become my adversary, someone who had weaponized our past against me. And if I wanted justice, I had to think like her, anticipate her moves before she made them. As the days passed, I dove deeper into the shadows of her life. I found out she had started a new venture funded by the money she stole, a high-end fashion line that was already gaining attention. The irony wasn't lost on me. She used my hard-earned savings to build her empire, while I was left picking up the pieces. But this was the turning point. The moment where the hunted becomes the hunter. I wasn't just going to wait for the law to do its job. I was going to take control, to use every skill, every resource, and every connection to turn the tables. Because in this game, the one who plans last wins. With Maya's legal advice echoing in my mind, I knew the battle had only just begun. But legal battles take time, and patience isn't exactly a luxury I had. So I decided to take matters into my own hands. I started with digging into Talia's new fashion line. From public records and social media, I uncovered how she'd launched Velvet Noir, a boutique brand that was quickly becoming the talk of the town. But beneath the glamour, there were cracks waiting to be exposed. I hired a private investigator named Lucas, a former detective with a knack for uncovering hidden truths. Lucas's job was simple: find any hint of financial mismanagement or illegal activity connected to her company. If she had stolen my savings, maybe she'd cut corners elsewhere too. Days passed with little news until Lucas called with something big. "Kieran, you're not going to believe this," he said, voice low. "Velvet Noir isn't just funded by your savings. There are suspicious transactions going to offshore accounts, and some shell companies linked to Talia's ex-business partners." My blood ran cold. It was worse than I thought. Talia wasn't just spending money recklessly. She was laundering stolen funds, hiding her tracks with complex financial schemes. The stakes were higher now. This wasn't just a personal betrayal. This was criminal. I showed the evidence to Maya, who nodded grimly. "This strengthens your case legally, but it also means she's dangerous. Be careful. People like her don't just fold when cornered." Her warning lingered in my mind. Meanwhile, I couldn't ignore the emotional side of things. I kept getting calls from mutual friends, some hesitant to pick sides, others openly sympathetic to my plight. And then came the unexpected, a message from Talia herself. "Stop digging. You don't want to know what's at risk." But I wasn't scared. Instead, I dug deeper. I confronted some of her closest business associates under the guise of potential partnerships, trying to learn more about her operation. Some dodged questions, others revealed small but crucial details: strained partnerships, unpaid debts, and increasing pressure from suppliers. Talia was building an empire on shaky foundations, and I was going to bring it crashing down. Every move I made, every secret I uncovered, brought me closer to my goal. But it also reminded me why I had to be careful. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about respect, justice, and reclaiming my life. The game had begun, and I was ready to win. The deeper I dug, the more tangled Talia's web became, and the more dangerous this game turned. I wasn't just after a simple payout anymore. This was about exposing her entire operation, making sure she could never hide behind lies again. Sitting in a dimly lit cafe, I slid the thick folder of documents across the table to the journalist, a sharp-eyed woman named Morgan. Morgan glanced through the pages quickly, then looked up with a grim smile. This is gold, Kieran. Offshore accounts, fake companies, shady transfers. This could bring down Velvet Noir. I leaned in, but it has to be airtight. I need witnesses, someone inside who can confirm the paper trail. She nodded, already pulling out her phone. I know a couple of former employees' quiet types, burned out by Talia's toxic leadership. I'll reach out discreetly. That was when my phone buzzed a text from an unknown number. Back off, Kieran, or you'll regret it. I stare at the screen, fingers tightening around the cup in my hand. Morgan's eyes narrowed. Threats? Looks like you're getting under her skin. Good, I said quietly. She deserves every bit of it. A few days later, I met with one of the whistleblowers in a secluded park. A man named Derek, nervous but determined. They told us to keep quiet. Said anyone who talked would lose everything, Derek whispered, glancing around nervously. I understand, I said gently. But your voice could save a lot of people from getting burned like me. He nodded, pulling out a crumpled folder. Here emails, memos, proof of those shady deals. Holding the documents, I felt the tide turning. This wasn't just my fight anymore, others were ready to stand up too. Meanwhile, Talia's calls escalated. One night my phone rang again. I recognized the number, but didn't answer. The voicemail was chilling. Kieran, this is your final warning. Drop it or you'll lose more than money. You want a war? You'll get one. I played it back twice, the venom in her voice unmistakable. I called her back, voice calm but firm. Talia, this isn't a threat, it's a promise. I'm coming for everything you stole. There was silence on the other end, then a cold laugh. You think you can take me down? I built this empire. You're nothing but a footnote. Even empires crumble, I replied, especially the ones built on lies. I kept my guard up, changing my routes, keeping a low profile. Maya helped draft legal moves to freeze her assets and prepare for a lawsuit. Morgan's article was scheduled to drop soon. The story was explosive: financial crimes, betrayal, and a fight for justice. The day before the release, I got a message from Maya. Everything's ready. This will cripple her. Be careful. I swallowed hard. This was the moment of truth. Sitting alone in my apartment, I thought about all the years I lost, the trust shattered, the betrayal stinging deep. But now, with every piece in place, I felt something I hadn't in a long time: power. I wasn't just a victim anymore. I was the reckoning. And the countdown to Talia's fall had begun. The morning Morgan's expose hit the headlines, the world seemed to shift beneath my feet. Every news outlet, every social media feed was flooded with the story: Velvet Noir's empire crumbles. Insider reveals massive fraud and betrayal. I sat by the window, the city waking around me as notifications poured in, messages of support from strangers, whispers of disbelief, and most satisfying of all, the silence from Talia. That silence was broken only when my phone buzzed, an incoming call from an unknown number. I answered without hesitation. Kieran, her voice was sharp, strained, but underneath I could hear fear. You think this is over? It's just beginning, Talia. The lawsuit's in motion. The authorities are watching. You're going to lose everything. Her laugh was brittle. You made a mistake. No, I said, my voice cold and steady. You did. The next weeks were a whirlwind. Legal teams fought on both sides, but with the evidence we gathered, Derek's testimony, the paper trail, Morgan's bombshell article, the scales tipped in my favor. Maya was relentless, drafting motions and coordinating with prosecutors. She kept me grounded through it all. One evening, after a long day in court, Maya turned to me and said, "This isn't just a win for you, Kieran. It's a warning to anyone who thinks they can take advantage and walk away." I nodded, feeling the weight of those words. This was bigger than me now. Then came the final court hearing, the day Talia's empire officially fell. Sitting in the courtroom, I watched as the judge read the verdict. The court finds in favor of the plaintiff, Mr. Kieran Gray. All assets obtained through fraudulent means are to be seized and returned accordingly. A wave of relief and satisfaction washed over me. Justice had been served. Later, as I stepped outside the courthouse, the sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the city. Morgan was waiting with a camera crew. "Any last words?" she asked. I smiled, feeling the past month's battles fade behind me. Sometimes the ones who betray you think they're untouchable. But in the end, the truth always finds a way. And when it does, justice isn't just served, it's personal. That night, I sat down with a quiet sense of closure. The money was restored, my reputation cleared, and the weight of betrayal lifted. But more than that, I'd taken control of my story. No longer a victim, I was the man who turned the tables.